questions we wrestle with as Christians about who God is, how do we live out our faith, what is the Bible, what is the truth of the Bible, what are we supposed to believe, how are we supposed to live? There are really big, deep questions that we ask each other, that we ask God, that we wrestle with ourselves. And that's why the Cultivate podcast exists, to help us go deeper in our understanding of who God is, His Word, and the way that He's called us to live. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Cultivate podcast. I'm Charlie Loften, lead pastor at the Grove Church. So glad that you are listening, and we have with us
the staff member that Charlie loves.
Oh, yes. Yes. Have you tried that on anybody else yet?
Not yet.
Okay. You
But it'll become
battle
a thing.
testing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I got Abigail.
Yes.
Our awesome producer, expert question asker, and podcast host. Thanks so much.
Of course.
For being with us. And we are been going through some various academic Bible kind of topics, theology topics. We did a class called SummerSlam.
It has to be said like that.
SummerSlam.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of like a car commercial. Used cars.
I got that.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sunday.
That's tractor pull.
Yeah.
Demolition derby. Yes, we're kind of doing some various theological topics. And I've been interviewing the teachers that were doing those, but I taught a couple of them. And during those, you've been interviewing me. And we've been talking. We started last episode talking about Book of Revelation.
Sure.
And the big picture question was, why should we study it? And I feel like we did something different than what I was able to do with Mark in our last series.
Get the answer.
We answered that question first.
Yes.
Here is why we should answer it. And I feel like if you didn't listen to that, you should go back and listen. I think it was, helps us understand like kind of why it's there, kind of what its purpose is, why maybe we've kind of misunderstood it, and really why and how we should study it.
And there is a way, we didn't mention this last time, there's a way for people to send more questions if they're interested.
Yeah.
Remind us of that email. Because I don't remember it.
info @thegrovechurch.org.
There you go. If you feel like he didn't answer the question.
Or you have a different question. A different topic that we should be covering.
Yeah,
I would love to hear that.
Shoot it over there.
I would love to hear that.
Yes.
I could just give them your email. Since
you
you are the producer.
Yes. Just direct it to me, and then I'll
just
see if it's good
Abigail
enough.
into your web browser, and you'll come up.
And something will be there. Yeah.
But here's the thing that I knew. Honestly, I made a joke about it when I was at summer seminar. I was like, why should we study this? Like, well, because it's in the Bible. 5-second answer. Mm-hmm. Then I gave a 2-minute answer to that question, which was, it's meant to keep us from getting deceived by someone who claims to be Jesus and to give us hope in a chaotic world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a simple answer. But I assumed that there was more behind the question.
Right.
Not just why should we study it, but while you're here, Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Could you also?
Right. Could you also tell us a little bit more kind of about it? So I spent some time doing that, and you were there.
Yes.
What did you think?
My mouth continually kept dropping wider and wider.
Yeah.
As you were explaining more and more of it. I didn't grow up knowing a ton about Revelation.
Okay.
And so the more
you went to one of the more gentler denominational churches growing up.
Yes. And so the more and more you said, I think I sat there sitting next to two of my friends, and I kept turning around and be like, is that really in the Bible? And they're just like, yeah. He's not making up stuff up there. I was like, what?
I needed confirmation that Charlie wasn't making this up.
Yeah. It's a crazy book.
I am somewhat creative, but I'm not creative enough to come up with the content of the Book of Revelation.
That's fair.
That's when people say is like John just made that up, and I'm like, bro,
that's pretty wild imagination.
That is a very vivid imagination.
Right.
One of my favorite theories, we haven't even really gotten in, this is getting into the weeds, we haven't even talked about the forest yet, is that some of the things that he's describing, like multi-headed monsters and these kinds of things, is that he had a vision of like the actual future and saw what a modern war would look like.
Oh, okay.
And did not have the words to describe a helicopter.
Whoa. See,
Right. And it's like,
Jaw drops further.
I have no idea if that's true, but that it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like this giant flying bird with a lot of heads
Right.
and multiple tails and made a screeching loud noise. Like, just that some of that could be like, well, it seems right. Maybe.
Right.
Anyways. So we spent some time, and I'll just kind of start here. Kind of start with the general overview of what we'll just call the three major theories of Revelation. Do you know? Well, go ahead.
I don't know all of them, but you did just kind of mention I grew up in a denomination that was a little bit softer on it.
Gentler. So there are gentler is what I said.
Sure, but there are a multitude of throughout history interpretations of what this is.
Yeah.
It's not just a straightforward, this is exactly what it means. So we're going to kind of dig into that a little bit.
Yeah. And I grew up not only at a denomination, but also at a period of time where there was a lot of obsession is too strong a word, but we'll just use it because it's there. Like a real intense focus on this issue.
So let me see if I can get them. Post-tribulation, pre-tribulation, and amillennialism.
That is three words that we will discuss.
Dang it.
No, but it's like, it's fine. It's fine. So the core word that all three of these viewpoints have is the word millennial.
Okay.
Which means what?
I don't remember how much, but it's a time period.
1,000 years.
1,000 years. Okay.
1,000 years. And so the word you were really, really close.
Okay.
Premillennial, postmillennial,
and then amillennial. Okay.
So all three of those, the key words there are millennial. Millennial means 1,000 years, and then pre, post, and are prefixes that we know what they mean. Pre means
before.
Post.
After. During.
Nope. Like theist.
Does not exist.
Just a not. Just not.
Okay.
I'm not a theist. I'm a not theist. I'm not a millennialist. I'm a not millennialist.
Okay.
So what does that mean then? So millennial refers to the idea that Jesus is going to reign as a king for 1,000 years.
Okay.
And that 1,000 years may be literal, it may be not literal, or maybe super literal, depending on where you are. But just think about that there is a description in Revelation that Jesus is going to reign for 1,000 years on the earth.
And is this the bulk of what Revelation is talking about, this millennia?
No, I would say the bulk of Revelation is talking about what happens in the years leading up to that.
Okay.
A time called the tribulation.
Okay.
Is a very vivid description of 7 really, really hard years that are going to happen on the earth.
And so these different points of views are discussing when that will happen. Right. And then there's those 3 points of views.
So we've got this idea. Jesus is going to reign on the earth for 1,000 years, and that may or may not be literal. So when does Jesus come back? Does he come back before this reign, after this reign, or does this reign not even exist?
Okay.
So a premillennialist, Jesus is coming back before the 1,000 years. A postmillennialist, Jesus is coming back after the 1,000 years. And an amillennialist says, you guys are taking all of that way too literally. There is no such thing as a millennial kingdom.
Okay. So it's not necessarily the book of Revelation is not true. They just they think it's not a literal interpretation.
Right. Yeah. So no one is, I want to say this. This is really important. The use of the word literal. I interpret the Bible literally. Now there is, that is an overused word. It is a misunderstood word. And when people say, now when I read Revelation, I take it literally. You don't take it literally because you don't think that the Antichrist is literally going to be a beast.
Sure.
You think it is going to be a person, and he's described as a beast metaphorically.
Right.
So there are and the book of Revelation is full of metaphors. And so in the strictest sense, no one is taking the book of Revelation literally. But on a relative scale of how the events that are described metaphorically, how literally do I believe that all of those events are going to be true is on a scale. And so there are some that are certainly more literal than others, but I would not describe any of them as, quote, literal.
To the textbook literal.
Right? Because again, it's a person, not a beast.
Right.
Even though he's described as the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And so they believe that what is described as the millennial kingdom is just a description of the age of the church.
Okay.
Where Jesus, the Holy Spirit, is on the earth. He's reigning. He is reigning as king in your heart. He is reigning as king in the church.
And you mean Big C Church.
Right. But he's not reigning as king of the earth.
Right.
That isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is meant to be more, he is the king. He is the king on the earth, even if he is not literally king on the earth.
Okay.
Like he is king. He died and rose again. And according to Philippians, he was given the name that is higher than every name. He is reigning as king right now, in some senses of the word, reigning as king.
Okay.
And so there's not going to be some point in which he is more literally reigning as king on the earth than what he is right now.
Okay.
As just, he is the king, whether or not we see him, or whether or not a significant portion of the population acknowledges that or not, is irrelevant, right? He is the king.
So I just want to make sure I'm crystal clear on this. So the book of Revelation is describing the letter to the churches, all that, and then describing the end of the world, or how this is going to happen. And so there's
in this part is describing something that appears to be a kingdom, a kingdom of Jesus reigning. How literally do I take that? And is one of the biggest questions.
Okay.
Because how literally we take that reign is going to put you more towards one of these three categories.
Okay.
So the amillennialist is the easiest to explain.
Okay.
Because it is, so just imagine a timeline in your brain. We got everything that happens in the Bible. Jesus dies on the cross. The Holy Spirit comes. Jesus goes back up to heaven. I guess he goes back up to heaven. Then the Holy Spirit comes, right? The church is on the earth. And then something is going to happen. And then Jesus is going to come back.
And when you say church, do you mean just
anytime I say church, I always mean capital C church in this context.
And you mean just like any Christian on
the
population,
the totality of Christians in the world.
Okay.
Is the capital C church in my shorthand in this discussion. And so the church is here, has the Great Commission, varying degrees of success in doing what God has called us to do. And then Jesus is going to come back and set the world right. The world will come to an end. And then believers will live with Jesus in heaven, and people who don't follow Jesus will be separated from God forever. And so what happens between this period in which the church has been given the Great Commission and the very end is kind of the answer to what Revelation is describing. And typically an amillennialist will be like, this is all very metaphorical. It is really just describing that it is going to be a very turbulent world. It's going to be very broken. A lot of bad things are going to happen. There are going to be people who are claiming to be Christ. There's going to be chaos and wars and all of these different things. The world is going to get progressively worse and worse. Jesus is going to come back. Armageddon, which is kind of this battle that happens at the end of time, will happen. Jesus will win. The earth will cease to exist. We'll go to heaven or hell, depending. And there is no real point in time where Jesus is reigning on the earth.
Okay. And this is amillennial. Right.
Postmillennial is also fairly easy to describe. It says, the bad stuff that is described as kind of the tribulation. That is kind of the period that we're going through right now. There's just bad stuff happening. People claiming to be Jesus, natural disasters, punishment, smiting, all of these bad things are happening everywhere. But God has given us the Great Commission, and slowly but surely we are going to Christianize the world.
Okay.
The world has become a better place morally. It is going to become more and more people are going to become Christians. It is going to get to a point to where the world could be described as a good place, and a Christian world and a morally good world.
Mhm.
And so we will create the kingdom.
Heaven on earth.
We will create the millennial kingdom.
Okay.
So Jesus will reign on the earth because we made it happen through our efforts to make the world progressively better and progressively more Christian.
Right.
So then once we have done that for 1,000 years, then Jesus comes back and is like, good job, guys. Some version of Armageddon happens. The last the last bits of evil in the world, Satan and his demons will be destroyed, put down. The world will end, be separated into heaven and hell, and that's how the story ends. So
right.
the kingdom does exist. It's something that we bring about, and once we have brought it about, Jesus comes and reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Premillennialists is the one that probably most people are familiar with.
Okay.
This is the one, if people are really into, and the word is eschatology,
okay.
the study of the end times, people are really into it. They're almost always going to be premillennialists, and they're just debating kind of nuances of it. And this is the one that most people who are really into this are familiar with.
Okay.
If you're not really into it and you're not particularly familiar with it, you may be one of those other ones, but this is the one that gets talked about the most.
Okay.
And it is described by the people who believe it as the one that is the most literal.
Okay.
And the way it describes it, you got Jesus, you got Holy Spirit, the church is here. And then at some point, at an undetermined time, there will be a 7-year tribulation on the earth, a literal 7 years of pain and tribulation on the earth. And this guy called Antichrist will come. There'll be a one-world government, a one-world religion. He's going to establish this kind of anti-God, anti-Jesus, harsh one-world regime. And there'll be a time in the first part of it where people who aren't Christians will think, this is actually really good. This is going to be great. Like, there are a lot of people right now that would love for there to be a one world government, and then we're all united under one government, one religion. And it sounds really good in a lot of ways. And it will be presented and it will exist in a way that seems good, except for the Christians that are around that are going to be like, you're rejecting Jesus. This isn't good.
Right.
But then there will come a point, even in that 7 years, where even the people who are like, I like this guy, are going to be like, wait, turns out he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And things are just going to get progressively worse and worse over the course of this 7 years. And then at the end of that 7 years, Jesus is going to come and establish a literal kingdom on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So there will have to be some sort of battle, not the epic battle, but there have to be some way which Jesus kind of cleans house a little bit,
takes over from the one world leader,
and takes over as reigning as a literal king on the earth for literally 1,000 years.
Right.
After that 1,000 years is over, again, the last remnants of evil in the world will unite and try to overthrow Jesus the King.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus will rally his forces, both spiritual and physical. And there will be an epic battle of the end of the world referred to as Armageddon. And Jesus will win. And then after that, there will be a new heaven and a new earth.
Right.
And so there is a 1,000-year reign, but Jesus comes before that. He comes before it and establishes it, a premillennial. As opposed to a postmillennial, we bring about the kingdom and then Jesus comes.
Right.
Or the amillennial, there is no such thing. It's all metaphorical. That is just a spiritual description of the reality of who Jesus is in the hearts and lives of the capital C church and Christians as individuals.
Yeah. So to tell you how far removed I was from understanding any of this, the megalodon.
You talking about the giant shark?
Yes. I thought Armageddon was another monster like the megalodon.
Oh, okay.
Until you said it in your talk, and I was like...
Most people's familiarity comes with it from the Bruce Willis movie.
I know, and I'm movie-wise uneducated and haven't seen it.
Well, I mean, how old were you in 1997?
I was a crisp 3.
98. 98? Oh, yeah.
Crisp 4.
Okay. Yeah. But you're familiar with the Aerosmith song, right?
No.
Don't want to close my eyes.
Is that called Armageddon?
Don't fall asleep because I miss you, baby.
Is that from that movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler there's a love story. In addition to it possibly being the end of the world, Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck are falling in love.
Well, that's really epic.
And that is a song. It revitalized Aerosmith's career for the second time.
I love that.
They were great, then they were gone, then Run DMC brought them back in the 80s, and they were gone for a little bit, and then Walk This Way.
Absolutely.
That's
I love Run
incredible.
DMC. Yeah.
Run DMC. It's incredible. One of the most important pieces of music in music history, I would argue, but that's a different podcast.
Really?
I mean, as far as like the impact that it had,
I mean, yes,
culturally,
it was massive, and you brought two genres together that
for the
been
first
together.
time.
Yeah. Okay. We could debate it at another podcast.
There's no debate. I mean, I'm not saying it's the most important, but to say that is one of the top in pop music history, that's one of the top most influential, important songs. There's no, anyways. Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Okay, I do agree with that one.
Armageddon, End of the World, right?
Yes.
And so Armageddon, it's that movie is about a potential end of the world, and so that's what this Armageddon is. And so so it's all centered around this 1,000-year reign, this 1,000-year kingdom. It doesn't exist. Amillennialist. We bring it about ourselves. Then Jesus comes back. Postmillennialist. The world is getting awful. Jesus comes back to fix things, sets up the reign, and then after the reign, Armageddon happens.
Right. So when pre is the one that has the 7-year tribulation, all that, does post have that just in a different order? Or did they not believe that'll happen at all in the post-tribulation or
again? You can't pin everyone down with one broad brush.
Okay,
but by and large, the tribulation is just a descriptor of how bad it is before we Jesus-ify the world.
Okay.
It is going to be, but it is not a literal,
right?
Not a literal 7 years. So again, that's why I would describe premillennialists as the most literal, even though it is could be rightly said completely literal. It is the most literal. Now that is a literal 7 years. They're definitely the most literal when it comes to time frames. 7 years, 1,000 years, very literal about that. And I think it's important to make sure while we're here on the premillennialist, and this is kind of when you were saying what the three things were, you got these words in there. Within premillennialism, there are 3 different types of that.
Okay.
And so this 7-year tribulation time, some people believe in what is called a rapture. And maybe you've heard that phrase before.
I have heard that phrase.
Where Jesus comes back partially and all the Christians get called up and then they go up to heaven with Jesus. But it's really not the second coming of Jesus. It's like, did you ever see The Lion King 1.5?
1.5. No.
Yeah, no. Okay, anyways, it's The Lion King 1 from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective.
I did see that.
It's not a pure sequel.
Yes.
They call it Lion King 1.5.
Yes, I did see that.
So it's not Jesus coming back the second time. It's like half. Like he sort of
they
comes back.
Like meet in the sky?
Yeah, meet in the sky and then go back up into heaven, but then later Jesus comes back.
Okay.
And so if you believe in a rapture and you believe that rapture happens before the tribulation, then you are a pre-tribulation, premillennialist.
Okay.
So Jesus comes back partially at the beginning of the tribulation. The 7-year tribulation happens. Jesus comes back for real, establishes a 1,000-year kingdom, then Armageddon happens.
So that perspective would be saying that Christians are not here for the tribulation.
Right. The only Christians that will be here during the tribulation are people that become Christians in the tribulation.
Okay.
So then a mid-tribulation person would be someone who believes that there will be the first half of the tribulation, the first 3.5 years, but before it gets really bad, Jesus comes back, the Christians go up, the last 3.5 years happen, Jesus comes back for real, establishes the 1,000-year kingdom. So a mid-tribulation, premillennial, okay? Then there are premillennialists who don't believe in a rapture, that Jesus is going to sort of come back. When he comes back, he's only coming back fully. So the tribulation happens. All Christians that are around experience all of it. And then post-tribulation,
Jesus comes back.
Premillennial. So
Right.
So it happens right after the tribulation, but before the millennial kingdom is when Jesus comes back. And that is the only time that he comes back. There are no partial rapture
Right.
times.
Right.
And so the three main categories, amillennial, postmillennial, premillennial, and then premillennial gets broken down into
even more.
Do you also believe in a rapture?
Right.
And if so, when does that rapture happen? The pre-trib would say that it happens before the tribulation. The mid-tribs would say it happens in the middle. And the post-tribulation people would say there is no such thing as the rapture.
Okay.
So historically, all three of these different views have been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Premillennial, amillennial, postmillennial, and they come in and out of favor. And as we were talking about in the previous episode, there was a lot of postmillennial talk in kind of early America.
Yeah.
Especially around the Great Awakening, the Second Great Awakening, these time periods where there just seemed to be a lot of real interest in the gospel, where America seemed to have this kind of destiny to kind of take over all of North America. And there was a lot of optimism around the expansion of what was believed to be good. America was good. It was a Christian nation. It had a destiny to kind of to take over all of this and to rule and to take Jesus everywhere. There was a lot of optimism around that even the Civil War in the mid to late 1800s couldn't dissipate that. Right. Because good triumphed.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden you get past the 19th century into the early 20th century. Then we get in around 1911, 1914, somewhere around in there.
And nothing happened.
And all of a sudden, the First World War happens.
Right.
And that was a very, very dark time in the history of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people, Christians included, lost a lot of their, what we'll just call kind of a post-millennial optimism.
Right.
An optimism that the world is on a track to become progressively better.
Yeah, that kind of
big
time tanked it.
But again, the good guys won.
Ultimately did, right.
And so maybe a few of us can hang on, but it is not 30 years later
that
another world war
mm-hmm.
starts. Worse than the first one in a lot of ways, especially in a lot of its religious components.
Mm-hmm.
Way worse. And it really feels like that for the most part, postmillennialism is dead.
Right.
There might be still some little vestiges of it from here to there. And there's some people that still talk that way. A lot of missions people will talk mm-hmm. that way about that we've got a job to do, and until we do our job, Jesus won't come back.
Right.
Which is a very postmillennial. But a lot of people who say it, if you ask them, would say that they're premillennialists, but they still talk like that. But the nations have to be reached, and every tribe and tongue has to be reached. Well, that could theoretically happen in the tribulation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the things that are going to happen that are described in the tribulation about the way, how vividly God's going to raise up these witnesses, supposedly Moses and Elijah are coming back, mm-hmm. and they're going to be testifying. And it's crazy the way the Revelation describes it is, and they're going to be testifying in Jerusalem, and the whole world is going to see it.
Right.
Like, how would John even have a concept of that?
Right.
That one thing could happen in Jerusalem and the whole world can see it.
He had a vision of Hunger Games where the announcement comes, and everybody can see it.
If you were to make me say, Charlie, you have to become a pre-trib, premillennial, whatever, right? I have to 100% buy into this. Yeah, I mean, the technology that is described, I think, that the whole world will witness events all at once. We're not quite there yet, mm-hmm. but we can definitely see it from where we are.
Right.
We are very close to the whole world being able to see an event.
Right. Yeah.
And not just because it happens supernaturally in the sky, like we can all see the moon and the sun at the same time, but just anyways. And so there's plenty of opportunity for all the things that missions people think have to happen before Jesus comes to happen in the tribulation. We can talk about that without talking like postmillennialists.
Right. Because ultimately just the optimism of the world progressively getting better just went down.
Yeah, I just don't really think there are very many places, at least in Christian circles,
that believe
that. You'll still hear hints of it from time to time in non-Christian or Christian adjacent worlds. You ever that thing where you miss all the shots you don't take? Jordan / Michael Scott.
Wayne Gretzky or whatever
Wayne Gretzky,
yeah.
/ Michael Scott.
Yes.
So there's a phrase that Obama used to use, that the arc of history is long and it bends towards justice.
Yeah.
That is a very postmillennial idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? He got that from
that I don't know.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh, okay.
Who got it from
Martin Luther
Gandhi.
Close.
And so it's really, it has some Hinduism in it, co-opted by probably a guy. Maybe I don't know for sure that Martin Luther King Jr. had any post-millennial eschatology in it, but then co-opted again by Obama in a more secular political kind of ideal. But that's the idea, that there are still some places where that sort of optimism might be expressed, but by people who take the Bible the most literally, there is almost none of that.
Right.
And so then it just becomes between really premillennial and amillennial, and then amongst the premillennialists, do you believe in the rapture or not?
Right.
And the rapture is a fairly new development. It didn't really come into any sort of prominence until maybe the late 1800s, early 1900s. Which kind of included this kind of resurgence in a very literal premillennialism. And the people that kind of put this idea together were initially kind of like, okay, you guys are crazy. You're taking all of this way too literally. Mm-hmm. And you think that there's going to be this rapture because this verse here says that this one church in the first part of Revelation is not going to have to experience the worst parts of the tribulation. So you're bringing that in. But then also, if you take it all as literally as some of these premillennialists do, it describes that Israel is going to become a nation again. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this is going to happen within the nation of Israel. And in the late 1800s, the idea that the nation of Israel would ever exist again was insane.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of postmillennialism, a lot of optimism. These people come up with this idea of the rapture, this super literal idea of premillennialism, the creation of the nation state of Israel again. They sound like lunatics. Mm-hmm. World War I happens, World War II happens, and then the nation of Israel is reestablished by the United Nations. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly everybody's like, well, maybe we need to give these guys another look.
Right. Yeah.
And so I say that it is probably in a lot of Christian circles the most popular and well-known version of eschatology. That's true, but at the same time, it is a relatively new development that caught on because of its ability to seemingly predict the establishment of Israel as a nation state, and coupled with the crushing of optimism through 2 world wars. Mm-hmm. And so now, again, a lot of the debate, especially in a lot of evangelical circles, happens around whether or not there is or isn't a rapture. Like, there's a significant group of people out there. So the debate is over. Premillennialism is it. Uh-huh. We just got to decide if there is a rapture and when there is a rapture. That is where the debate is. And again, if you came from, again, a gentler denomination, or some of your more mainline denominations like Methodism, Presbyterian, Lutherans, those kinds of things like that, they're like, man, you may be thinking, I don't really know what you're talking about right now. Which for most people, then I would describe that. Most people who are quote into it are some version of premillennial.
Okay.
The people who aren't in it I would say mostly are kind of functional amillennialists, where it's like things are going to get bad and Jesus is coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and there's
like,
not the breakdown
So
that is one of my questions. What is the aim of people studying this? Is it to prepare, or is it to just simply interpret scripture correctly?
I would say the primary goal in that is from people who believe that from cover to cover, we need to fully understand everything that the Bible says.
Okay.
That it is in and of itself a good thing to know the Bible really well. That it does not matter if it does or does not have a practical application. The knowledge and understanding of what the Bible says is an inherent good on its own. And so there are people out there, theologians that would say that would scoff at people who would say it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You know, this one author in particular refers to it as eschatological agnosticism.
Okay.
Eschatology being the study of the end times, and agnosticism being who knows and who cares.
Right.
And so that he would describe that as a morally bad thing.
Right.
Because
that'd be
why
more
would
like the
not
amillennial.
wanting to know what the Bible teaches and having a thought on it, like to not have that would be it means you are spiritually lazy.
Right.
You're not interested in the Bible. And so knowing is enough. It doesn't matter, like what we talked about last episode, whether or not you can come up with any specific application for it. There's no specific application for knowing that Elijah and Moses are going to come back and preach for a certain period of time, and people are going to try to kill them, but they can't. The beast can't overcome them until a certain period of time, and then when he does, the beast is going to kill them. And then when the beast kills them, everybody's going to be able to see it, and they're going to basically establish a new Christmas. Around it, it's going to be something that becomes celebrated. That people are going to give gifts to each other because Moses and Elijah finally shut up. Like, is there an application? No. Is there a practical application for me? I just dropped 5 to 6 sentences of just knowledge just right on you of what premillennialists think. It doesn't have any practical application, but it's in there.
Yeah.
And so you should know it.
Yeah.
There are going to be 144,000 witnesses to Jesus that are all going to come from ethnically Jewish people, 12,000 from each tribe. And they're going to be roaming evangelists in the world. Do you need to know that?
Right.
Is it going to change anything about your life tomorrow now that you know that? No, but it is inherently a good thing that you know it, because knowing stuff from the Bible is in and of itself important.
So this is kicking it back to kind of some stuff we talked about the very first episode of the SummerSlam series. Where would you put this in the house?
Right. Okay. So for guys who don't know what we're talking about, everybody has to build a theological house. The soil are the things that are essential to Christianity. Where am I going to put my house? I'm going to put my house in the Christian soil. So I must believe the things that are essential to Christianity, which for the most part, I sum up around Jesus Christ died for sins. I need to know who Jesus is. I need to know what sin is. I need to know why his death has anything to do with that.
Right.
Then the foundation are the most important truths that you build in that dirt. What I believe about the scripture, what I believe about the Trinity, what I believe about, who the Holy Spirit is actively in my life, those kinds of things, right? And then the important things are kind of the nature of my house, which are the things that distinguish one denomination from another. They're important, but I don't think we should fight about them the way that we do. Whether or not we should baptize babies or not, it's important. It's important, but I don't think we should fight over it. And I don't think being wrong on that issue is going to have huge, long-lasting effects the way, the Bible is just kind of hit or miss, take it or leave it. Like that. Okay, that you can come to Christ and believe that about the Bible, but you're going to struggle if you continue to believe that. And then we've talked about then the interesting things, which are kind of the decorative pieces. All due respect to you eschatology heads out there. Man, it is the piece of art that you put in the guest bathroom downstairs.
I was going to say the garden gnome.
Yeah, I mean it's the piece of decorative thing for your yard that your grandma gave you 7 years ago, but she's still alive, and so I have to keep it,
display it, right? Yeah,
right. But it's like it's okay. I mean, it has there's a reason why I have it, but it's not critical to the survival of the house.
Yeah.
The pieces of this that are critical to the survival of the house are the things that we talked about last episode, which are Jesus will win. I have hope in this world and in the next, no matter how bad things go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get deceived about when or if Jesus is coming back.
Yeah.
He is coming back. He's coming back in this way, not this way. And I have hope in him no matter how bad this world gets.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is important, bordering on foundational.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not I believe it's Moses and Elijah or Elijah and Enoch that are going to be the two Jewish witnesses, and whether or not I understand, okay, he says that the Antichrist is going to come from the east.
Mm-hmm.
East of where and how far east? Right? Come on, man.
Yeah.
We're just talking about varying shades of white that you're going to paint your kitchen.
Yeah.
No, it's not white. It's eggshell. Like, okay, bro. And it matters. I hear my wife talk like that about varying paint colors, right? And I know that it is important to her, but it is not a structure. It is not structurally keeping the house up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ultimately, from all of this, it's a book of the Bible. It's worth reading because it is a book of the Bible.
Right.
It also can affirm your hope that we have in Jesus and that he will overcome the world, however you want to phrase that. And then there's really interesting things you can get into.
Right.
But not necessarily like you have to read the book of John to understand your faith.
Yeah, I understand why people find it interesting. And which is why I use that particular word. This is interesting to me. And it is great. You want to study something that is interesting to you. Great. But it's not important enough for us to get angry with each other because you're a mid-trib premillennialist and I'm a post-trib premillennial. We don't have to fight about it. But sometimes we fight about things because, well, that means you don't understand the Bible, Abigail. And if you don't understand the Bible, maybe you don't even really believe it. And we just,
Right.
But I mean, it's interesting and it's in there. So it's great to learn. But there are certainly truths that are significantly more important and foundational than that.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that we could say about it. There is, if you've read the Left Behind books, if you've been to any of these seminars, it goes into a significant amount of detail about who the Antichrist is and where he comes from and the mark of the beast and the significance of the 144,000 witnesses. And I have lots of information and data in my head about that some people find interesting and some people don't. I'm getting the impression from the look on your face that it is...
I'm probably an amillennial.
Yeah, you're probably the eschatological agnostic.
Yeah.
I don't care enough to think about it too much, right? And so, like in a different, and so like we did at summer seminar, I just kind of spent some time and took some questions and kind of went into some of those details to kind of people who have some anxiety or fear about it. But, it is not important enough to me to be like, Abigail, we need to keep talking about this because you guys really need to understand when it says east,
right?
Talking about east of Israel, which we used to in the 80s, we thought was Russia, but it's even because those were clearly the villains. If there was ever going to be a villain
okay.
during the Cold War, it was going to be from Russia.
Yes. So
it all made sense. But you know what's this? Even further east of Israel than Russia?
Tokyo.
The United States.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Also Tokyo.
Okay.
Also Tokyo. Right? So how far east do you have to go before actually that's west? We think of ourselves as the West.
Right.
But that's because we decided we were going to
make the map this way.
Well, yeah.
Right?
I mean, east of Israel, it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
And so people like to speculate about that. And it's like, that's why it was, where Obama's from. Like,
Right.
Please stop. Gorbachev or Khrushchev or whatever villain of the day is, right? Anybody can be east of Israel. But again, these are the kind of things that for some people are interesting to talk about. And so I don't want us to think that I am avoiding talking about this, but I just want to make sure that we've got a general understanding of it. But as always, if you've got questions about this and you're thinking, no, but I was really hoping Abigail was going to pepper him with nonstop eschatology questions, you feel free to pepper us with nonstop eschatology questions and we'll pick it up later.
Yeah.
info@thegrovechurch.org. And we would love to hear any questions you have about that, or honestly, really any theological issue that you think would be interesting, important for us to talk about. We'd love to hear it. I'm always looking for ideas for other things to talk about. But I think we're done.
I think that's it.
Yeah. And so again, my greatest desire and hope is that you will, as you encounter the book of Revelation or different views on eschatology, that you would always walk away with hope and peace and a God who's got things under control and not anxiety about the future. Because sometimes people get real anxious that they're going to accidentally get the mark of the beast, that you're going to get tricked into rejecting Jesus and being condemned forever, or we need to be actively working against that, but at the same time actively supporting Israel. And we just kind of have all of these kind of like that there are very strong political applications to this, as if God needs our help in making this happen, or that we're being called to kind of prevent some of these things. It's kind of weird. And as most things, I don't think there's a political application to this. I mean, this is going to unfold exactly the way that God said it would. And our goal in this is not to vote differently. It is to trust God fully.
Right.
So thanks for being kind of the foil for this, kind of the bouncing off these ideas off of, great job as always, asking great questions, and really glad that all of you joined us. And again, we would love to hear from you. Any ideas that you have, questions you have, the times I've gotten those, we've taken them all very seriously, and it has been the inspiration for podcast series in the past. So we would love as much of that as you want to give. And as always, we would love to catch you on a Sunday morning, connect with you, help you in any way that we can. And as always, thanks again for joining us on the Cultivate podcast. Thank you for listening to the Cultivate podcast. Our hope is that you are taking steps to go deeper in your faith, that you are asking big questions and you're looking for answers. We hope that we can be a resource for you through our podcast and any other way that we can help you. You can find all our episodes anywhere that you can find podcasts, including YouTube. And again, thank you so much for joining us.